The sleek silver ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its hull shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Inside, Ambassador Nyx of the Celestial Concordat stood before the viewing screen, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly as she took in the sight of the blue and green planet below. "Fascinating," she murmured, her melodic voice tinged with excitement and apprehension. "So much water, so much chaos." Captain Zorn, his exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's lights, approached her. "Remember, Ambassador, the humans are a young species. They may seem primitive, but they've achieved much in a short time." Nyx nodded, her iridescent skin rippling with anticipation. "I've studied their history, Captain. Their potential is intriguing." As the ship touched down on a specially prepared landing pad, Nyx took a deep breath, centering herself. This was her moment, her chance to forge an alliance that could change the course of galactic history. The ship's ramp extended, and Nyx stepped out into the bright sunlight of her new world. A small delegation waited to greet her, their faces a mix of awe and curiosity. Among them stood a tall human with dark skin and piercing blue eyes, his posture radiating authority. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Nyx," he said, his deep voice carrying across the landing pad. "I'm Director Marcus Reeves of the Global Diplomatic Corps. We're honored to host you." Nyx inclined her head in the traditional Earth greeting she had studied. "The honor is mine, Director Reeves. I look forward to fostering understanding between our peoples." As the formalities continued, Nyx couldn't help but notice the diversity among the humans. Tall, short, different skin tones, varied facial features, it was a dizzying array of genetic expression. On her homeworld, variation was minimal, each being a near-perfect copy of their progenitor. "Ambassador," Director Reeves said, breaking into her thoughts, "I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Elara Singh. She'll be your primary liaison during your stay." A woman with warm brown skin and curly black hair stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with intelligence and curiosity. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Ambassador," she said, extending her hand. Nyx hesitated for a moment before remembering the custom and grasping it gently. The warmth of Dr. Singh's skin sent an unexpected tingle through her form. "The pleasure is mine, Dr. Singh. I look forward to learning from you." As they moved towards the waiting transport, Dr. Singh fell into step beside Nyx. "I understand your species reproduces through cellular division," she said, her voice filled with genuine interest. "That must be incredibly efficient." Nyx's chest swelled with pride. "Indeed, it allows for rapid population growth when needed, and each new celestial is a perfect copy, ready to contribute to society immediately." Dr. Singh's brow furrowed slightly. "Fascinating. But doesn't that limit genetic diversity?" The question caught Nyx off guard. She had never considered it a limitation before. "Our scientists ensure optimal genetic combinations before division," she replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into her voice. Dr. Singh held up her hands in a placating gesture. "I didn't mean to offend. It's just different from how we do things here." Nyx's curiosity got the better of her. "And how exactly do humans reproduce? Your educational materials were vague on the subject." A slight flush crept up Dr. Singh's neck. Well, that's a bit of a complex topic. Perhaps we should save that discussion for later." As they boarded the transport, Nyx marveled at the city sprawling before them. It was a chaotic jumble of architecture that both fascinated and perplexed her. On her homeworld, everything was designed for maximum efficiency. Here, form seemed to take precedence over function in many cases. "Dr. Singh," Nyx began, her eyes darting from one site to another, "why are there so many different types of structures? Wouldn't it be more efficient to have a standardized design?" Dr. Singh chuckled. "Efficiency isn't always the primary goal here, Ambassador. Humans value individuality and expression. Our cities reflect that." Nyx frowned slightly. "But surely there's a more logical way to organize your society." "Logic and emotion often compete in human decision-making," Dr. Singh explained. "It's part of what makes us well, human. As they continued their journey, Nix found herself increasingly drawn into conversation with Dr. Singh. Her patience in explaining Earth customs and her genuine interest in Nix's world were refreshing. She had expected more resistance, more fear of the unknown. Their transport pulled up to a sleek modern building, Nix's temporary residence during her stay. As they disembarked, Dr. Singh turned to her with a smile. "I hope you'll find your accommodations comfortable. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask." Nix nodded, then hesitated. There was still so much she wanted to know, so many questions bubbling up inside her. "Dr. Singh, I appreciate your assistance today. Would it be possible to continue our discussions? There's so much I'd like to learn about your world." Dr. Singh's face lit up. "Of course, I'd be happy to show you around, answer any questions you might have. In fact," she paused, seeming to consider something, "if you're up for it, I have an idea for a unique Earth experience. Something that might give you insight into an important aspect of human life." Intrigued, Nix leaned forward slightly. "What did you have in mind?" "Well," Dr. Singh said, a hint of excitement in her voice, "my sister is about to give birth to her first child. I was planning to visit her in the hospital tomorrow. Would you like to come along? It could be a chance to see a fundamental part of human life up close." Nix's eyes widened with interest. A chance to observe human reproductive practices firsthand. It was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. "That sounds fascinating, Dr. Singh. I would be honored to accompany you." "Great," Dr. Singh beamed. "I'll pick you up tomorrow morning, say around 9 a.m. As Nix watched Dr. Singh depart, she felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Tomorrow would bring new experiences, new knowledge. But as she reflected on the day's events, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into something far more complex than she had anticipated. The humans, with their chaotic cities and emphasis on individuality, were unlike anything she had encountered before, and yet there was something oddly compelling about their way of life. With a small shiver of anticipation, Nix entered her temporary quarters, her mind already racing with questions about what the next day would bring. The next morning dawned bright and clear. Nix rose early, meticulously grooming her iridescent skin and adjusting her ceremonial attire. She wanted to present a professional, dignified appearance for this important cultural exchange. At precisely 9 a.m., there was a knock at her door. Nix opened it to find Dr. Singh waiting, her face breaking into a warm smile. "Good morning, Ambassador," she said cheerfully. "Ready for your crash course in human biology?" Nix tilted her head slightly, confused by the idiom. "Crash course. I was not aware we would be piloting any vehicles today." Dr. Singh laughed, a sound that sent an unexpected shiver through Nix's form. "Sorry, it's just an expression. It means a quick, intensive lesson. No actual crashing involved, I promise." As they made their way to Dr. Singh's vehicle, Nix found herself sneaking glances at her human companion. She noticed things she hadn't before, the way Dr. Singh's hair caught the sunlight, the graceful movement of her hands as she gestured while talking. "So, Ambassador," Dr. Singh said as they settled into the car, "I realized I never asked what made you want to become a diplomat." Nix considered the question. "On my world, we are assigned roles based on our aptitudes and society's needs. I showed a talent for languages and cultural analysis, so diplomacy was the logical choice." Dr. Singh's brow furrowed slightly. "But was it what you wanted?" The question caught Nix off guard. Want? Personal desire wasn't a factor in celestial society. Efficiency and the greater good were all that mattered. Yet here was Dr. Singh, implying that individual wishes should play a role in one's life path. I'm not sure I understand the question," Nix admitted. "My skills serve the needs of my people. Isn't that enough?" Dr. Singh opened her mouth to respond, then seemed to think better of it. "It's just different here," she said finally. "We place a lot of value on personal fulfillment and following our passions." As they drove through the city, Nix found herself pondering Dr. Singh's words. The idea of individual desires shaping one's life path was foreign to her, yet strangely alluring. She pushed the thought aside, focusing instead on the mission at hand. "Tell me about this birth process we're going to observe," Nick said, eager to steer the conversation back to more comfortable territory. "How does it differ from our cellular division?" Dr. Singh coughed, a slight blush creeping up her neck. "Well, it's a bit more involved than that. You see, humans reproduce sexually. Two individuals contribute genetic material, which combines to form a new, unique individual." Nix's four eyes widened in surprise. "You mean each new human is a completely original combination? How inefficient. How do you ensure optimal traits are passed on?" "We don't, not really," Dr. Singh admitted. "It's more of a genetic lottery. But that randomness is part of what drives our evolution and diversity." As they pulled up to the hospital, Nix felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. She was about to witness something completely alien to her experience, something fundamental to human existence. Dr. Singh led her through sterile corridors, the sharp smell of disinfectant burning Nix's sensitive olfactory receptors. They paused outside a door, and Dr. Singh turned to her with a serious expression. "Nix," she said, using the ambassador's name for the first time, "what you're about to see might be shocking to you. But I want you to remember that this is a natural, beautiful part of human life. Try to keep an open mind, okay?" Nix nodded sullenly, steeling herself for whatever lay beyond that door. As Dr. Singh pushed it open, she took a deep breath and stepped into the unknown, ready to confront this strange human mystery head-on. The room was awash with a cacophony of sounds and smells that assaulted Nix's senses. In the center, a human female lay on a strange contraption, her face contorted in what appeared to be extreme discomfort. Around her, various machines beeped and whirred, monitoring vital signs Nix couldn't begin to comprehend. "Dr. Singh," Nix whispered, her voice trembling, "what's happening to her? Is she ill?" Dr. Singh placed a reassuring hand on Nix's shoulder, sending an unexpected shiver through her form. "No, Nix, she's giving birth. This is how new humans come into the world." As if on cue, the woman let out a piercing scream that made Nix flinch. She watched in horrified fascination as a team of humans in sterile garments gathered around the woman, offering encouragement and guidance. "Push, Sarah," one of them urged. "You're doing great." Nix's mind reeled. Push? Push what? And why did it seem to cause such distress? Suddenly, there was a flurry of activity, and Nix caught a glimpse of something emerging from the woman's body. Her four eyes blinked rapidly in disbelief as she realized it was a tiny human. "You do this all the time?" Nix gasped, turning to Dr. Singh with a mixture of horror and fascination. Dr. Singh chuckled nervously. "Well, not all the time, but yes, this is how humans reproduce." Nix watched as the tiny, wriggling creature was cleaned and wrapped in a soft blanket. The exhausted woman on the bed reached out for it, her face transformed by an expression of pure joy. I don't understand," Nix stammered. "Why would anyone choose such a painful, inefficient method of reproduction?" Dr. Singh guided Nix out of the room, sensing her distress. As they walked down the corridor, she tried to explain. "It's not just about efficiency, Nix. Human reproduction is tied to our emotions, our relationships. It's a deeply personal and meaningful experience." Nix shook her head, her iridescent skin shimmering with agitation. "But it seems so primitive. On my world, we simply divide when the time is right. No pain, no mess, no inefficiency." They found a quiet corner in the hospital's garden, and Dr. Singh gestured for Nix to sit on a bench. As they sat side by side, Nix couldn't help but notice the warmth radiating from Dr. Singh's body, so different from the cool efficiency of celestial physiology. "Look," Dr. Singh began, her voice gentle, "I know it must seem strange to you. But human reproduction isn't just about creating new individuals. It's about love, family, the blending of genetic traits to create something unique and beautiful." Nix tilted her head, considering Dr. Singh's words. But how can you ensure the offspring will be suitable for society's needs? Dr. Singh laughed, a sound that sent an unexpected flutter through Nix's midsection. We can't. That's part of the beauty of it. Each child has surprise, a new combination of traits and potential. It's what drives our diversity and adaptability as a species. As they continued to talk, Nix found herself both fascinated and confused by the complexity of human reproduction and relationships. The concept of falling in love seemed particularly baffling. So humans choose their reproductive partners based on feelings? Nix asked, her brow furrowed in concentration. Dr. Singh nodded, a slight blush creeping up her neck. Generally, yes. We form emotional and physical connections with others, and sometimes those connections lead to the decision to have children together. Nix's mind whirled with this new information. The idea of basing such an important decision on something as intangible as emotions seemed ludicrous. And yet, she couldn't deny the strange warmth she felt when Dr. Singh smiled at her, or the way her hearts raced when their hands accidentally brushed. As they left the hospital, Nix found herself grappling with conflicting emotions. The human method of reproduction still seemed inefficient and messy to her logical mind. But there was something undeniably powerful about the connection she had witnessed between the mother and her newborn child. Thank you for sharing this experience with me, Dr. Singh, Nix said as they walked back to the car. I have much to ponder about human biology and relationships. Dr. Singh smiled warmly. I'm glad you found it enlightening, Ambassador, and please call me Elara. As they drove back to Nix's temporary residence, a comfortable silence fell between them. Nix gazed out the window, watching the chaotic tapestry of human life unfold on the streets. For the first time since her arrival on Earth, she began to see the beauty in the disorder, the strength in the diversity. And as she glanced at Elara, catching the human's warm smile, Nix felt a strange fluttering in her chest, a sensation she couldn't quite name, but one that filled her with both excitement and trepidation. She had come to Earth to study humanity, but she was beginning to suspect that the lessons she would learn here would go far beyond mere diplomacy. As weeks passed, Nix found herself immersed in the vibrant tapestry of human life. Her days were filled with diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, and long conversations with Elara. The more she learned about humanity, the more fascinated and conflicted she became. One crisp autumn morning, Nix stood before the expansive windows of her temporary residence, watching leaves of red and gold dance on the breeze. The sight still amazed her. On her homeworld, such dramatic seasonal changes were unheard of. A sharp knock at the door interrupted her reverie. Elara burst in, her face pale with worry. Nix, we have a situation. You need to come with me right away. Alarmed by her friend's distress, Nix followed without question. As they hurried to Elara's vehicle, the human filled her in. We've detected an anomaly in Earth's magnetic field, Elara explained, her voice tight. It's causing widespread disruptions in our technology and communication systems, and it's getting worse. Nix's full eyes widened. Could this be a natural phenomenon? Elara shook her head grimly. The patterns are too regular, too precise. We think it might be artificially generated, possibly a weapon. As they sped towards the Global Defense Headquarters, Nix's mind raced. Could this be the work of a hostile alien species? Or perhaps a human faction seeking to destabilize global relations? Either way, the timing couldn't be worse for the fledgling alliance between Earth and the celestial Concordat. The command center was a hive of frantic activity when they arrived. Director Rees greeted them, his usually composed demeanor visibly strained. Ambassador, Dr. Singh, thank you for coming. We're facing a crisis unlike anything we've encountered before. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing a pulsating web of energy encompassing the planet. Nix studied the patterns intently, her specialized vision allowing her to perceive nuances invisible to human eyes. These energy signatures, she murmured, they're similar to a technology we encountered centuries ago. A species called the Void Weavers used it to harvest energy from developing worlds. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to Nyx. Director Rees leaned forward, his voice urgent. "Ambassador, any information you can provide could be crucial. What do you know about these void weavers?" Nyx's skin rippled with unease. They were a parasitic race, consuming the resources of entire planets to fuel their expansion. "We thought they had been defeated long ago, but if they've returned," she left the ominous implication hanging. Elara placed a comforting hand on Nyx's arm. "Is there a way to stop them? To reverse what they're doing to our planet?" Nyx hesitated. There was a way, but it would require a level of cooperation unprecedented in galactic history. Theoretically, yes, but it would mean combining celestial technology with human ingenuity. Our peoples would have to work together in ways we never have before. Director Rees nodded decisively. "Then that's what we'll do. Ambassador, consider this a formal request for your people's assistance. Earth stands ready to collaborate in whatever way necessary." As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, Nyx felt a strange mixture of dread and excitement. This crisis could either tear their fledgling alliance apart or forge it into something stronger than either species had imagined possible. Over the next few days, Nyx worked tirelessly alongside human scientists and engineers. She marveled at their creativity, their ability to approach problems from angles she'd never considered. In turn, she shared celestial knowledge, helping to bridge the gap between their disparate technologies. Late one night, as they pored over schematics for a prototype defense system, Elara looked up at Nyx with a weary smile. "You know, a month ago I never would have imagined working side by side with an alien to save our planet." Nyx felt a warm flutter in her chest, a sensation she was growing increasingly accustomed to in Elara's presence. "And I never imagined I would find humans so inspiring," she admitted. "Your adaptability, your determination, it's unlike anything in the Concordat." Elara's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" Before Nyx could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. They rushed to the command center, where a grim-faced Director Rees awaited them. "The Void Weavers have made contact," he announced, his voice tight. "They're demanding our surrender. If we refuse, they claim they'll accelerate the energy drain, killing our planet within days." A holographic image flickered to life, revealing a being that sent chills down Nyx's spine. The Void Weaver was a writhing mass of shadowy tendrils, its form barely constrained by a shimmering energy field. When it spoke, its voice seemed to echo from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Humans," it intoned, "your world is ripe for harvest. Submit, and a portion of your species may be spared to serve us. Resist, and you will perish along with your insignificant planet." Director Rees stepped forward, his jaw set with determination. "We are not alone," he declared. "Earth stands with the celestial Concordat. We will not submit to your threats." The Void Weaver's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Ah, the Concordat, still clinging to your misguided notions of galactic harmony. You are as foolish as these humans." As the transmission cut off, an oppressive silence fell over the room. All eyes turned to Nyx, questions and fears evident on every face. Nyx straightened, feeling the weight of two worlds on her shoulders. "The Void Weavers are powerful," she said, her voice steady, "but they are not invincible. Together, we have a chance, but we must act quickly." As the room erupted into renewed activity, Nyx caught Elara's gaze. The human's eyes shone with a mixture of fear and determination that Nyx found strangely compelling. "Whatever happens," Elara said softly, reaching out to squeeze Nyx's hand, "I'm glad you're here with us." Nyx felt a surge of emotion she couldn't quite name. In that moment, she realized that her mission had become about more than diplomacy or even saving Earth. It had become personal in a way she never could have anticipated. As they turned to face the monumental task ahead, Nyx silently vowed to protect this strange, beautiful world and the remarkable beings who called it home, no matter the cost. The following days were a blur of frantic activity as humans and Celestials raced against time to develop a defense against the Void Weavers. Nyx found herself constantly amazed by the humans' resilience and creativity in the face of overwhelming odds. In a makeshift lab deep within the Global Defense Headquarters, Nyx worked alongside Elara and a team of Earth's brightest minds. They were attempting to merge celestial energy manipulation techniques with human quantum computing to create a shield that could repel the Voidwaver's energy-draining technology. "It's not working," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant physicist, exclaimed in frustration as another simulation failed. "The quantum fluctuations are too unpredictable. We can't stabilize the field." Nyx's iridescent skin rippled with concern. She placed a comforting hand on Dr. Tanaka's shoulder, marveling at how natural the gesture felt now. "Perhaps we're approaching this from the wrong angle," she mused. "In celestial science, we often find that the most elegant solutions arise from embracing chaos rather than trying to control it." Elara's eyes lit up. Like in chaos theory, small changes in initial conditions leading to large-scale effects. What if we use the quantum fluctuations to our advantage instead of fighting them? The team huddled around holographic displays, fingers flying over keyboards as they reworked their models. Nyx watched in awe as the humans seamlessly incorporated her suggestion, building upon it in ways she never would have considered. Hours later, a cheer erupted as a successful simulation flickered to life. The shield wasn't perfect, but it was a start, a fusion of human and celestial ingenuity that just might save the planet. As the team celebrated their breakthrough, Director Rees burst into the lab, his face grim. "We've got a new problem," he announced. "The Voidwavers have begun targeting our major cities with focused energy beams. We're looking at widespread destruction if we can't deploy the shield soon." Nyx felt a chill run through her. "But the prototype isn't ready for full-scale deployment. We need more time to test and refine it." "Time is a luxury we don't have," Reeves replied. "We need to act now, or there won't be a planet left to save." A tense silence fell over the room. Nyx looked around at the faces of her human colleagues, tired, scared, but still determined. In that moment, she made a decision that would change the course of two civilizations. "There might be another way," she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of what she was about to propose. "But it would require revealing classified celestial technology, something that goes against every protocol of my people." All eyes turned to her, a mixture of hope and apprehension on their faces. Elara stepped forward, gently taking Nyx's hand. "Whatever it is, we trust you, Nyx. We're in this together." Nyx took a deep breath, her four eyes blinking rapidly as she organized her thoughts. The Celestial Concordat possesses a network of orbital platforms capable of generating a planetary-scale energy field. If we could adapt our shield design to work with these platforms, we might be able to protect the entire Earth at once. Director Ree's eyebrows shot up. "You've had this capability all along. Why haven't you used it against the Voidwavers before?" "The technology is controversial," Nyx admitted. "Its power could easily be weaponized. The Concordat has strict laws against sharing it with other species. By telling you this, I'm committing an act of treason." A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications of Nyx's words sank in. It was Elara who broke it, her voice filled with emotion. "Nyx, are you sure about this? We can't ask you to sacrifice everything for us." Nyx's skin shimmered with a mix of fear and resolve. "Your world is worth saving, Elara. Your people have shown me the power of individuality, of choosing one's own path. For the first time in my life, I'm making a choice based not on efficiency or protocol, but on what I believe is right." Director Reeves stepped forward, his face solemn. "Ambassador, on behalf of Earth, I formally accept your offer of assistance. Whatever consequences you face, know that you'll always have allies here." As the team sprang into action, incorporating the new information into their plans, Nyx felt a strange lightness. She had broken the most sacred laws of her people, and yet she had never felt more certain of her actions. Over the next few hours, a daring plan took shape. While Earth's military forces worked to evacuate threatened cities, Nyx used her diplomatic codes to activate the hidden celestial platforms orbiting the planet. Meanwhile, the human celestial science team raced to adapt their shield design to interface with the alien technology. As dawn broke over a world teetering on the brink of destruction, Nyx stood beside Elara in the command center, watching as the final preparations were made. Outside, the sky crackled with ominous energy as the Voidweavers intensified their assault. "Are you ready?" Elara asked softly, her hand finding Nyx. Nyx turned to look at the human who had become so dear to her in such a short time. In Elara's eyes, she saw fear, hope, and something else, something that made her hearts race in a way she was only beginning to understand. "I'm ready," Nyx replied, squeezing Elara's hand. "Whatever happens, I'm glad I'm here with you." Director Ree's voice cut through the tension. "It's time. Activate the shield." As Nyx input the final command sequence, she sent a silent apology to her people and a prayer to the cosmos. In that moment, as human and celestial technology merged to protect a world she had come to love, Nyx realized that her journey on Earth had changed her in ways she never could have imagined. The air hummed with power as a shimmering dome of energy began to form around the planet. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, united in a desperate gambit against an ancient evil. As the shield strengthened, repelling the Voidweaver's attacks, a cheer went up from the assembled humans. But Nyx knew the battle was far from over. The Voidweavers would not give up easily, and the consequences of her actions would soon catch up with her. Yet as she stood there, hand in hand with Elara, watching Earth fight for its survival, Nyx felt something she had never experienced before, a fierce, burning hope for the future, whatever it might bring. The shimmering energy shield enveloped Earth, its iridescent surface rippling as it deflected the Voidweaver's relentless attacks. In the command center, humans and the lone celestial ambassador watched with bated breath as the first crucial minutes ticked by. "Shield integrity at 92% and holding," a technician called out, her voice tight with tension. Director Reeves nodded grimly. "It's working. For how long? We need a more permanent solution." Nyx's skin pulsed with a mix of relief and determination. "Agreed. The shield buys us time, but the Voidweavers will eventually find a way through. We need to take the fight to them." As if in response to her words, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing the writhing form of the Voidweaver leader. Its voice echoed through the room, a discordant mix of rage and grudging respect. "Impressive, little ones," it hissed. "You've learned new tricks, but your defiance only delays the inevitable. We will consume your world as we have countless others." Elara stepped forward, her eyes blazing with defiance. "You underestimate us. Humanity and the Celestial Concordat stand united against you. We will not fall." The Voidweaver's form pulsed with what might have been laughter. "United, how quaint. Your alliance is a fragile thing, built on lies and desperation. It will crumble, as all such unions do." As the transmission cut off, an uneasy silence fell over the room. Nyx felt the weight of human gazes upon her, questioning, uncertain. She straightened, her 4 eyes scanning the assembled faces. "The Voidweaver speaks from ignorance," Nyx declared, her voice steady. "It cannot comprehend the strength that comes from true cooperation, from embracing our differences rather than fearing them. That is the key to defeating them, and I believe I know how." Over the next few hours, a daring plan took shape. While the shield held the Voidweavers at bay, teams of human and celestial scientists worked feverishly to modify Earth's satellite network. Using principles of quantum entanglement merged with celestial energy manipulation techniques, they aimed to create a web of interconnected nodes that could disrupt the Voidweaver's energy harvesting technology. As the work progressed, Nyx found herself continually amazed by the humans' adaptability and innovative thinking. Ideas flowed freely, with no regard for hierarchy or protocol, a stark contrast to the rigid structure of celestial society. "You know," Elara said softly as they worked side by side, calibrating a particularly tricky piece of equipment, "a few months ago, I never would have imagined working with an alien to save our planet. Now, I can't imagine facing this without you." Nyx felt a warm flutter in her chest, a sensation she was growing increasingly familiar with in Elara's presence. "Nor I," she admitted. "Your people have taught me so much about the power of individual choice, of forging one's own path. It's liberating." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the chaos around them faded away. Nyx saw in Elara's gaze a depth of emotion that both thrilled and terrified her. She was on the verge of saying something more when alarms blared throughout the facility. The Voidweavers are concentrating their attack on a single point in the shield. Director Reeves shouted, "We're losing integrity." The moment shattered, Nyx and Elara rushed back to their stations. On the main view screen, a section of the energy shield flickered ominously as tendrils of dark energy probed for weaknesses. "The satellite network isn't ready," Dr. Tanaka reported, her voice strained. "We need more time." Nyx's mind raced. They were so close to a solution, but if the shield fell now, all would be lost. In that moment, she made a decision that would alter the course of two civilizations. "I can reinforce the shield," she declared, stepping forward. "But it will require channeling energy directly through my body. It's not without risk." Elara's eyes widened in alarm. "Nyx, no, it could kill you." Nyx turned to her friend, her skin shimmering with a mix of fear and resolve. "It's our only chance, Elara. My people's technology, combined with my physical form, can create a resonance that will buy us the time we need." Before anyone could protest further, Nyx strode to the center of the room. She began to glow, her iridescent skin pulsing with otherworldly energy. As she raised her arms, tendrils of light shot from her body, connecting with the shield generators. The effect was immediate. The failing section of the shield stabilized, pushing back against the Voidweaver's assault. But the strain on Nyx was evident. Her form flickered, her normally melodious voice reduced to a pained whisper. "Harry," she gasped, "I can't hold it much longer." The room erupted into frenzied activity. Elara coordinated the final adjustments to the satellite network, her voice steady despite the tears glistening in her eyes. Director Reeves barked orders, orchestrating Earth's defenses with grim determination. As the minutes ticked by, Nyx felt her strength ebbing. Just when she thought she could hold on no longer, Dr. Tanaka's voice cut through the chaos. "It's ready. Activating the disruption field now." A pulse of energy rippled across the planet's surface. The Voidweaver's attack faltered, then ceased entirely. On the view screen, their ships began to drift aimlessly, their power source suddenly cut off. A cheer went up from the assembled humans, but Elara had eyes only for Nyx. She rushed to the Celestial's side, catching her as she collapsed. "Nyx, Nyx, can you hear me?" Elara cradled the alien's shimmering form, her voice choked with emotion. Slowly, Nyx's eyes focused on Elara's face. "Did it work?" she whispered. Elara laughed through her tears. "Yes, you brilliant, reckless fool. It worked. Earth is safe, thanks to you." As the reality of their victory sank in, humans and the lone Celestial alike marveled at what they had accomplished together. They had faced an ancient, implacable foe and emerged victorious through the power of cooperation and mutual understanding. But for Nyx, as she gazed into Elara's eyes, she realized that she had gained something even more precious than victory. She'd have found a place where she truly belonged, a world where individuality was celebrated and where love, in all its wonderful, messy complexity, could flourish. As the first rays of dawn broke over a planet saved from the brink of destruction, Nyx knew that her journey on Earth was far from over. It was, in many ways, just beginning. In the weeks following the defeat of the Voidweavers, Earth buzzed with a mixture of celebration and intense activity. The planet had been saved, but the revelation of advanced alien technology and the existence of other potentially hostile species in the universe had profoundly shaken human society. Nyx found herself at the center of it all, hailed as a hero by humans, while facing an uncertain future with her own people. The Celestial Concordat had been less than pleased with her unauthorized sharing of classified technology, even if it had saved an entire world. On a crisp autumn morning, Nyx stood on the balcony of her temporary residence, gazing out at the city's skyline. The leaves had turned vibrant shades of red and gold, a sight that still filled her with wonder. She was so lost in thought that she barely noticed Elara's approach until the human placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Credit for your thoughts?" Elara asked softly. Nyx turned, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly as she focused on her friend. "I was just thinking about how much has changed. Your world, my perspective, everything." Elara nodded, leaning against the railing beside Nyx. "I know what you mean. Sometimes I wake up and can hardly believe everything that's happened." A comfortable silence fell between them, broken only by the distant sounds of the city below. Finally, Nyx spoke, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "I received a transmission from the Concordat this morning," she said. "They want me to return home to face a formal inquiry into my actions." Elara's face fell. "Oh, Nyx, are you in trouble? Will they punish you for helping us?" Nyx's skin shimmered with a mix of emotions. "I'm not sure. What I did goes against our most sacred protocols. But the fact that it resulted in defeating a major threat to galactic stability, it complicates things." "You could stay," Elara blurted out, then looked away, a blush creeping up her cheeks. "I mean, Earth would welcome you, after everything you've done for us." Nyx felt a warmth spread through her at Elara's words. The idea was tempting, more so than she cared to admit, but she shook her head slowly. "I appreciate the offer, more than you know. But I can't run from this. Whatever the consequences, I need to face them." And she hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "I think the Concordat needs to hear what I've learned here. About the strength that comes from diversity, from individual choice." Elara nodded, understanding in her eyes. "You're going to try to change things, aren't you?" "Someone has to," Nyx replied with a small smile. "Your people have shown me that progress often comes from questioning the established order, from being willing to see things from a new perspective." As they continued to talk, discussing the future of human-celestial relations and the changes both their societies faced, Nyx marveled at how far she had come. She had arrived on Earth seeing humans as primitive, chaotic beings. Now she understood that their seeming inefficiency was a source of incredible strength and creativity. Later that day, Nyx found herself in a meeting with Director Reeves and other high-ranking officials. They were discussing the formation of a new global organization dedicated to advancing human technology and preparing Earth for its place in the galactic community. "Ambassador," Director Reeves said, "we'd like you to be part of this initiative. Your insights would be invaluable as we move forward." Nyx inclined her head, honored by the offer. "I would be glad to assist in any way I can, for as long as I'm able. But you should know that my future is uncertain." As she explained her impending return to the Concordat, she saw concern and gratitude on the faces around her. These humans, once strangers, now felt like colleagues, even friends. "Whatever happens," Director Reeves said firmly, "know that you'll always have a place here on Earth. You've more than earned it." The days leading up to Nyx's departure were a whirlwind of activity. There were debriefings to attend, technologies to explain, and countless goodbyes to be said. Through it all, Elara remained a constant presence at her side, offering support and companionship. On the night before she was due to leave, Nyx and Elara stood once again on the balcony, gazing up at the stars. The same stars that had once seemed cold and distant to Nyx now held a new meaning, filled with possibility and connection. "I'm going to miss this," Nyx said softly. "Miss Earth." "Miss," she trailed off, looking at Elara with an intensity that made the human's breath catch. "I'll miss you too," Elara whispered. "More than I can say." There was a moment of tension, of unspoken emotions hanging in the air between them. Then, moving with a boldness that surprised them both, Elara leaned in and pressed her lips gently against Nick's. The kiss was brief, a fleeting contact between two very different beings. But in that moment, Nyx understood something fundamental about humanity that had eluded her until now. The power of their emotions, their capacity for love and connection, was not a weakness as she had once believed. It was their greatest strength. As they parted, both flushed and slightly breathless, Nyx felt a surge of determination. Whatever challenges awaited her back in the Concordat, she would face them with the courage and adaptability she had learned from humans. And someday, somehow, she would find her way back to this remarkable world and the even more remarkable being who had stolen her hearts. The next morning, as Nyx's ship prepared for departure, a small group gathered to see her off. There were handshakes, hugs, and more than a few tears. When it came time to say goodbye to Elara, words seemed inadequate. "This isn't goodbye," Elara said fiercely, gripping Nyx's hands. "It's just, see you later." Nyx nodded, her skin shimmering with emotion. "I will return," she promised. "There's still so much for me to learn here." As the ship rose into the sky, Nyx watched Earth grow smaller below her. But instead of the alien, chaotic world she had first perceived, she now saw a planet of infinite possibility, of beauty in diversity. She had come to study humanity, but in the end, humanity had changed her in ways she never could have imagined. And as the blue marble of Earth faded from view, Nyx turned her gaze toward the stars with a new sense of purpose. She would return to the Concordat not just as an ambassador, but as a bridge between two worlds. The journey ahead would be challenging, but she faced it with hope, determination, and the indelible mark of humanity upon her hearts. The end of this chapter was just the beginning of a greater story, one of understanding, growth, and the boundless potential of cooperation between different species. As Nyx's ship entered hyperspace, she knew that whatever the future held, Earth and its remarkable inhabitants would always be a part of her.